Edward Snowden has now been fully vindicated. The Guardian says the following: 7 years after the former NSA contractor Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the mass surveillance of Americans' telephone records, an appeals court has found the program was unlawful and that the U.S. intelligence leaders who publicly defended it were not telling the truth. In a ruling handed down on Wednesday, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit said the warrantless telephone dragnet that secretly collected millions of Americans' telephone records violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, and may well have been unconstitutional. Snowden, who fled to Russia in the aftermath of the 2013 disclosures and still faces U.S. espionage charges, said on Twitter that the ruling was a vindication of his decision to go public with the evidence of the National Security Agency's domestic eavesdropping operation. Quote, "I never imagined that I would live to see our courts condemn the NSA's activities as unlawful in the same ruling crediting me for exposing them," Snowden said in a message posted on Twitter. Evidence that the NSA was secretly building a vast database of U.S. telephone records, the who, the how, the when, and the where of millions of mobile calls, was the first and arguably the most explosive of the Snowden revelations published by The Guardian in 2013. Credit to Glenn Greenwald for that. Shout out to Glenn. Up until that moment, top intelligence officials publicly insisted that the NSA never knowingly collected information on Americans at all. After the program's exposure, U.S. officials fell back on the argument that the spying had played a crucial role in fighting domestic extremism, citing in particular the case of 4 San Diego residents who were accused of providing aid to religious fanatics in Somalia. U.S. officials insisted that the 4 were convicted in 2013 thanks to the NSA's telephone record spying. But the Ninth Circuit ruled on Wednesday that those claims were inconsistent with the contents of the classified record. The ruling will not affect the convictions of Molin and his fellow defendants. The court ruled the illegal surveillance did not taint the evidence introduced at their trial. Nevertheless, watchdog groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, which helped bring the case to appeal, welcomed the judge's verdict on the NSA's spy program. Today's ruling is a victory for our privacy rights, the ACLU said in a statement, saying it makes plain the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' phone records violated the Constitution. This is nothing short of full vindication for Edward Snowden. And now it's incumbent upon the President of the United States to acknowledge that Snowden uncovered that the government was breaking the law and violating the Constitution and illegally spying on all Americans. Since we now know that, as a matter of fact, that this is an official decision from a court, then he fits the definition of a whistleblower. Now it's no longer up in the air. Now it's no longer a matter of opinion. Now it's good faith actor concerned about the law unveils that the U.S. government is breaking the law. That's the narrative. That's the dynamic. So what are we waiting for now? You going to punish this guy for doing the right thing? And the lies, the endless lies. What's fascinating to me is they even lied about how useful the program is to get terrorists. They even lied about that. They're like, oh yeah, we used this program, we were able to stop this plot. And if you look at the actual evidence, that didn't happen. The court was saying, hey man, we saw it. There's no proof. There's no evidence that, you wouldn't have gotten these people if you didn't have this program in place. Remember James Clapper famously saying when he's asked, are you bulk collecting Americans' metadata? He said, not wittingly, lied. Lied under oath. Lied. So now we know. You have a Fourth Amendment protection from unreasonable search and seizure. Edward Snowden said, hey, these are unreasonable searches and unreasonably seizing your metadata. There's no warrant for every single American. It's not like every American is implicated in a crime, so we can and should take their information. He saw this. He blew the whistle. Now we know it's unconstitutional. And now it's on the Trump administration. Pardon him. Trump was like, take a look at it very closely. He said that recently, and I played the clip for you guys, and my commentary, unfortunately, is that I don't think he's going to do it, because he just sounded like he was classic Trump. Like, oh yeah, we're going to look at it very strongly. Like, he probably doesn't even realize who the hell the question's really about. It just struck me as he's just kind of babbling and saying what people want to hear. So I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think it's front and center in his mind. But if there was ever, like, this should pound the gavel in everybody's mind. That's it. It's over. He was right. He was proven correct. And the NSA lied about everything. They lied about not collecting the data. They were. And then they also lied about how useful the program was. It wasn't useful. You want to know why? Because when you collect everybody's information, you're kind of drowning in information, aren't you? Do it the old way. Get a warrant because you have evidence, and then you do the actual police work and the intelligence work. I mean, that's the way our system works. This is what part of due process is. So, listen, Edward Snowden is a hero. And understand just how bad the U.S. government is persecuting him. Because he's not even allowed to come back here. Let's say he gets arrested and has a case. Because some of you guys might say, well, hold on now. Wouldn't he get off if he came back here? I thought this early on, too. I was like, I don't understand. Wouldn't he get off if he came back? He's obviously correct constitutionally. He's not allowed to make the argument in court that I did this for the public good. He's barred from saying that. He's barred from arguing this was in the public's best interest. That's not a defense he's allowed to make. So that's his whole defense is out the window. He literally can't say, look, I'm correct. And the NSA is illegally spying on everybody. It's unconstitutional. I did it to expose it for the public good. Not allowed to make that argument. So basically, it would be like a show trial if he came back here, and he would be found guilty. Even though other courts are saying, this is unconstitutional. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Glenn Greenwald had to tell me that when I spoke to him about it. He was like, yeah, a lot of people think what you think, that he could just come back and win. No, because you're not allowed to make the argument that it's for the public good. Not allowed to make it. Listen, in many instances, it takes generations, it takes decades for people to realize who's in the right. You know, today we recognize that Daniel Ellsberg is a hero when it comes to the Pentagon Papers. It showed that we were willy-nilly killing innocent civilians in Vietnam. Casually. That was exposed. At the time, he was called a traitor. He was called every bad name in the book, just like Edward Snowden was. Today's day and age, thankfully, it looks like Snowden is being vindicated even earlier, even sooner. And it appears to be a widespread public belief that, of course, this guy did the right thing. The only people who are still treating him as an enemy, it's the establishment. It's the deep state. I don't mean that term conspiratorially. I mean CIA, FBI, NSA, the deep state. Literally, the people who stay in the government back and forth through all the administrations. It's them. It's the people surrounding Donald Trump. And so Donald Trump is not taking that next step of pardoning, which he should do. So Edward Snowden is a hero. It really is that simple. The stuff we learned from him. I remember covering the stories when they first came out. One of the things that I was astonished by. Did you know NSA officials were spying on their significant others? And it was so common that they had a term for it. They would call it love int, which is short for love intelligence. The idea that these are just career professionals with suits and ties only looking for the bad guys. Not true at all. Plus, you guys know the history of, you know, the FBI and the CIA. CIA overthrowing governments in South America. Like, this is what they did. FBI viewing leftists as a domestic terror threat. They wanted Martin Luther King to kill himself. So you're going to trust these intelligence agencies, the ones who lied us into Iraq. You're going to trust them to spy on all of us. There's not even a far-fetched case at this point to say Snowden is wrong. He's 1,000,000% right. He's a hero. I'm not big on statues, but if you're going to build statues, you build statues to guys like this. So total vindication. Let's see what the next move is. Obviously, he should be pardoned. And justice should be done.